Hello and welcome to another episode of Fundy Tidings. I'm your host Jay Reamer, and today's episode is being brought to you from the Sunbury Shores Arts and Nature Center here in St. Andrews, New Brunswick. Today I'd like to welcome Clare Shipit, the director of Sunbury Shores Arts and Nature Center. Welcome, Clare.
Thank you.
So for those of us not familiar with the center, can you tell us a little bit about the center and how this particular event that we're going to be discussing today fits into the center's program?
So Sunbury Shores is an arts and nature center. We are a nonprofit charitable organization located in St. Andrews. We were founded in 1964, and we've really been a focal point of the community as far as arts development and nature education since our inception. We offer year-round arts and nature programming, as well as exhibitions, speaker series, innovative programming, and nature education. So we're a very vibrant community arts center, as well as an art school and gallery. So we have professional artists who are local, national, and international who come to the center and teach in very kind of hands-on environments. So we offer a lot of programming for kids, adults, and seniors of all skill levels, really.
And is this event geared to support any particular aspect of that, or is it just sort of the general operating of the center?
Yeah, it's going to support mainly the general operating of the center, but also with a focus on kind of our programming side. So that's our arts and nature programs. We're going to be dividing the proceeds 50-50 from the sales of the art pieces between the artist and Sunbury Shores. So it's really to support what we've been doing with the community as far as programming.
That's an interesting angle to use, because I know in the past when there have been auctions, people often ask the artists for just straight out donations, and there's no sort of revenue sharing. Is that a relatively new concept for the center? And if so, are you finding that it's more successful as far as getting better works?
Well, to be honest, I'm not 100% familiar with what we've done in the past as far as splitting the revenue. I believe we've done 50-50 before, but it may have been a different percentage. I think it's important to support the artists as far as the work that they've put into their art, and just to recognize their expertise. And I think that the reason why we've gotten such high quality work for this auction is because Sunbury Shores has this rich history of exhibiting fine art and having exceptional visiting artists come and work at the center, teach at the center. So I think we have a good reputation that way. And we really wanted to make it clear that this auction is our first kind of curated fine art auction that's specifically designed to represent exceptional contemporary artists.
So curated auctions are in and of themselves unusual. So this event is going to represent a number of artists. What do you expect us to, as an audience, experience at this auction?
So we had over 60 artists who applied to have their work in Making Waves, which is the fine art auction on Minister's Island, and we've accepted 23. So there was a selections committee, which was kind of the jury for the auction, and we tried to create a good selection that kind of showed the diversity of talent that's in New Brunswick, as well as we have some artists from other provinces. And we have 2 artists from Maine because we are an international arts center. So we really wanted to create a good diversity as far as scale of work, like price, media. Like we have printmaking, painting, photography, there's ceramics and wood and stone. So it's going to be a really nice range of works.
So this auction is going to take place on Minister's Island in the main house?
Yes, yeah, at the Van Horn Estate. And it's going to be on August 24th from 6 to 9 p.m. There'll be live music. The Don Gorman Trio is going to be playing. They do some really wonderful jazz music. There's going to be complimentary blueberry ginger mojitos, which are going to be fun and provided to us by Granite Town Farms and Pete's Frutique. There's also going to be wine and beer and raffle prizes as well as the main kind of auction event.
And this is going to be a silent auction, not a live auction, is that correct?
It's a silent auction, yeah. So there will be a lot of opportunity for people to mingle and to kind of get to know other arts enthusiasts. Many of the artists will actually be in attendance. So it will be, I think, a really fun and lively event.
Who are some of the artists that are going to be represented in this auction?
Sure, yeah. So we have a really wonderful group of artists who I think just exemplify the talent that we have in Eastern Canada. There are artists such as Kathy Ross, Thaddeus Halonia, Deanna Musgrave, Alan Sillaboy, whose work is behind me. There'll be work by Anne Manuel, Suzanne Hill, Berner Arnold.
Oh, right.
Is going to have his work in there as well. There's going to be work by Chantal Coury as well as her father Michael Coury, and it's just going to be a really wonderful range of works.
It sounds like a really fantastic opportunity for people not only to acquire new pieces for their collection, because there are a number of people who seriously collect New Brunswick works of art, but it'll also be a chance to meet other collectors and to speak with the artists themselves, which is fantastic.
Yes, yeah, I think there's going to be pieces in this art auction that will be very much of interest to arts collectors, to patrons, to arts enthusiasts. I think some people who maybe aren't as familiar with collecting work will become more interested in some of the artists we have here in New Brunswick, and there's just wonderful talent that's represented here.
This auction represents a number of artists from New Brunswick. New Brunswick is, in many ways, a double-edged sword in that it has a tremendous number of artists practicing art here, but it also is a very remote community. What are some of the challenges that you, as a center, see artists facing here in New Brunswick?
Yeah, well, I mean, you kind of just mentioned one in that New Brunswick is a little bit off the beaten path, and it is a fairly decentralized province, so we don't really have a main city where the art is happening. It's happening kind of all over, and there are a lot of artists who are based rurally. So that presents challenges in kind of getting the word out about your art, in kind of developing a commercial art market and finding professional representation. And I think there can also be a sense of isolation and kind of a lack of creative exchange between our communities and cultural groups. So I think that presents a challenge. I think the socioeconomic status of artists in New Brunswick has also been kind of a great concern, and that is something that the province and several organizations are trying to address, but that is a big challenge, kind of how to be a full-time artist in New Brunswick. But I think there are also a lot of advantages to working outside of a big urban center. You can create work that's a little bit more out of the norm and kind of develop in a new direction independently. And I think it can also be a catalyst for collaborative art making and kind of taking new approaches where you're sort of off the beaten path. You also have a little bit more freedom even while having a lack of resources. I think that kind of can lead to more creative solutions and innovation.
It is, it's interesting when you, because St. Andrews, for instance, where the auction is taking place, is a really art-oriented community. And I know in the past there has been collaboration between the artists. Is that dynamic alone unusual? Is it unusual for artists of different mediums or different ages or talents to get together and collaborate? I would think that would be a fabulous educational opportunity for everyone involved.
Yes, yeah, I think so. I think what St. Andrews and many smaller communities in New Brunswick have is overwhelming support for the arts, and maybe in a way that you might not expect if you're not from here, but I think the community has such a support of the arts, and I think you do have that exchange between older generations and younger generations of, you know, professional and masterful artists being willing to pass down their knowledge to a younger generation, partly because there is kind of a need for that arts education where there's not as much of a formal structure.
Sunbury Shores has been around for almost 50 years. How do you see the center fitting into the art scene in New Brunswick?
Yeah. Well, I think the center really helps with development in the arts in a lot of ways. One is kind of what I was just referring to, where you have masterful artists who come in and are willing to disseminate their knowledge and work really one-on-one with students. You know, we have small class sizes where you can really get a lot of individual attention from our instructors. And we also have been working with students from a young age through our class program with students in Charlotte County and surrounding communities to really expose them to the arts. We have kids working in our new metalsmithing studio, learning to make jewelry, and in our printmaking studio, which is non-toxic. So it's a really great way to have them gain interest in maybe pursuing the arts, both vocationally and really as a professional career.
Mm-hmm. And as Arts and Nature Center goes, I would think that this would stand out as one of the great in North America.
Mm-hmm. And we are the oldest in Canada, so it's that's pretty amazing. But yeah, we offer a really great diversity of classes. Near the end of August, we're offering a stop-motion animation workshop that's going to be focused on ocean conservation for kids. So they will come in and create animations based around that theme with visiting artist Daniela Snipova, and that's a partnership with the Huntsman, and it's a free workshop. So that's utilizing new technology and teaching kids about important environmental issues while having them kind of develop their creative side.
In this day and age of technology and fast-moving communications, what vision do you see for Sunbury Shores moving into the future?
Yeah, well, I think we're getting a lot stronger in our communications and marketing approaches, and really trying to take kind of a destination, not just Sunbury Shores, but St. Andrews as a place, and really trying to market us as a community of people, and not just kind of a building where you can come and spend time, but really a community that you can get involved in, and a community that believes in kind of the way that you can enrich life through creative exploration and the environment. So I think being able to tell our story and to kind of articulate what's special about this place is going to really help put us on the map. And I think we're really trying to refocus on our children's programming, on innovative nature programming that will have more of an emphasis on environmental issues that are kind of current and of local interest. And I think developing our partnerships with like-minded organizations, like with that workshop I just mentioned with the Huntsman. So, yeah.
Well, it's interesting that your focus is going to be on innovation, and that this auction is going to be taking place on Minister's Island, where Sir William Van Horn was sort of the captain of innovation in Canada in the early 20th century. And given the scope of the restoration project that's going on over there, this all fits in together very well. So I would imagine a strong relationship between Minister's Island and Sunbury Shores would also come to fruition.
Yes, yeah, very much so. And I think this event is kind of a celebration of the past and that rich history of the art on Minister's Island, as well as a celebration of kind of the future and where we're going and where they're going, which is very exciting. So it's really a tribute to kind of the exceptional art that has had a relationship with St. Andrews, and that's work from New Brunswick artists, but also from artists from further away.
So could you tell us about some of the artists who are going to be included in this auction and some of the story behind them?
Sure. I guess just as an example, Deanna Musgrave is a very well-recognized artist who's based in Fredericton. She creates these kind of vast abstract, they're sort of somewhere between a seascape and a skyscape. They're really beautiful works, and they kind of explore our perception and our deep connection with water and memory. And a lot of her images are very kind of cloud-like and just dreamy. And I think people will be really blown away by her work. There's Jorgen Clausen, who is a well-recognized photographer whose work kind of explores the juxtaposition of the human form with natural forms. And specifically in this series, he's looking at rock formations on the Bay of Fundy. So many of the artworks as well are inspired by our local environments and the Bay of Fundy, which is great. And I think it will really resonate with people. And in his photography, I think you see not only his skill and kind of his eye for composition, but I think you also sort of start to realize the echoes in kind of light and shape between the human body and kind of those formations and those landscapes that we see here.
He comes from a family that has quite a long history in the art world in New Brunswick, I believe.
Yes, he does. Yeah. Chantal Coury as well. She is an artist who's actually based in Montreal. She's originally from New Brunswick, but she lives in Montreal now. And she is a painter who creates these very narrative works that are kind of haunting yet also very familiar, and they kind of have this feeling that you're looking into the past, but it's familiar, but you feel alienated at the same time. So she kind of creates these pieces that are inspired by memory and kind of family events, and she uses a really amazing sense of color. They're just very vivid and kind of have a dreamlike quality. So I think that's going to be exciting work for people to see. And Anne Manuel, who is a very well-known printmaker as well as a mixed media artist. She has a block print that's going to be in the show, and it's a large-scale work of a crow, and it's black and white. And I think that is just a stunning work. And she often works in our printmaking studio, so there's a nice relationship there.
I've seen her work over here before, and I remember she does have this unique ability to take a small object and turn it into gigantic proportions. And
she does, yeah.
I remember she did a series of feathers, and one feather became sort of 7 feet tall, and it was just the most powerful image. And it was really, it's great to find such talent in the area.
Yeah, it's amazing. Alan Syllaboy is another one of our participating artists, and his work is right behind me. That's one of the pieces that will be in the auction. And his work, I mean, as you can see, is so vibrant. It's almost alive with color. It kind of jumps out at you. And he's a First Nations artist who takes a lot of his inspiration from kind of petroglyph images and from some of the kind of images that are significant from his kind of culture and history. So they, I think, are just extremely powerful, and he has kind of a style of his own as well, and he's one of our instructors as well. He just taught a course here at Sunbury Shores. So we're very happy to have work by him. There's going to be this piece and a really nice large-scale caribou piece as well.
I noticed that Thaddeus Halonia has a photograph in this sale.
There's one work by Thaddeus, and it's of a weir. I believe near Deer Island. And I mean, his work is always very interesting in that he kind of explores our relationship with nature and sometimes kind of the detrimental effects of kind of human engagement with nature. But the weir kind of being such an iconic image of this area, I think it's very interesting to see kind of his perspective on that. And it's a beautiful piece. Another artist who's going to be showing work with us is Berner Arnold, and he is a local artist. He's pretty well known around here, and he works with wood as well as acrylic, and his works are just fantastic. He does these sculptures, many of them are kinetic, and they, I think, just really have this kind of childlike wonder to them, and he has such a great sense of humor, and I think that those works are going to really be a lot of fun for people to see. And he's also pretty widely collected, and he's represented in New Brunswick, and we're just thrilled to have him.
He's very popular. I remember when he first came to town 20-some years ago, and his first exhibit here in town was right at the old Tom Smith studio. And we had a chance to meet him and see his incredible work. It was just, everybody puts a smile on their face. So it's wonderful that he's represented in the auction for sure.
Yes, we're very excited. Yeah. And he has that great piece in front of the whale store.
Yeah.
And I believe that he's also exhibited with us as well, just in the past few years. So we're very excited to have his work.
Yeah.
We also have work by Brigitte Cleaveth, who is an internationally renowned metalsmith. She helped us develop our new metalsmithing studio and has worked with us on several occasions, also as an artist in residence. And she has a piece where she has created a small silver bowl that's kind of connected to this canvas with watercolor kind of brushstrokes. And that is a very interesting piece. And she is just so skilled. She's won, many awards, and she is really a master at her craft.
Isn't that great?
Kathy Ross is another one of the artists who has works in the auction. There's 2 watercolor pieces by her. She obviously is related to Fred Ross, who has played such an instrumental role in the arts in New Brunswick, and who came and has worked in our printmaking studio and has had a relationship with Sunbury Shores in the past. And Kathy is one of our instructors as well. So there's kind of a nice family history as well as the history of art in New Brunswick.
And Kathy was the artist in residence on Minister's Island last summer.
Yes, yeah, so there's the connection there as well.
Yeah, that's right. Oh, that's great. Well, it certainly is shaping up to be an exciting event.
Yes, we're just thrilled to be putting it on.
So when people support the Arts and Nature Center here at Sunbury Shores, what exactly is it that they'll be supporting?
Yeah, so when you support Sunbury Shores, what you're really supporting is the community. So it's classes for children when they come in and they want to learn, how do you create a pot? How do you create a print? It's really a way for children to come in and be exposed to the arts and kind of see what possibilities there are, because you sort of explore a whole new world when you start to kind of learn how to express yourself creatively, and to kind of see your ideas come to fruition, I think is very rewarding. And that's true for kids, it's true for people of all ages. And I think Sunbury Shores really provides a unique opportunity for people of all ages and all skill levels to come and learn from artists who are, critically acclaimed, who are very much recognized in their fields, as well as to give opportunities for emerging artists to come and to teach and to exhibit. Mm-hmm. So we, since 1964, we've had over 500 artists come and teach at Sunbury Shores, and we've presented over 300 exhibitions.
Wow.
So, 2017 was the first year that we had kind of a juried process for our art exhibitions. So we're really, I think, stepping up our game as far as the quality and diversity of art that we show in our gallery spaces. Mm-hmm. And I think this auction is a continuation of that. It's kind of that commitment to excellence.
The class program has been one of the most successful programs, I think, to date here at Sunbury Shores, because it allows children with special needs, as well as those who are facing other kinds of challenges, at risk and difficulty learning in traditional ways, where artists who have a similar background and have experienced similar challenges come together and help them to learn and to see the world through a different set of eyes. Has that been your experience here at Sunbury Shores?
Yeah, I think so. I think art making is very therapeutic, and I think it, for children especially, I think being able to find the time where you're actually encouraged to play and you're encouraged to explore and get messy, and you don't have to kind of, draw inside the lines. I think it's a very freeing experience. And especially for kids who are at risk or come from kind of disadvantaged homes or have kind of things that they're struggling with. I think art can be a really wonderful escape, as well as a way to kind of understand the world around you. Mm-hmm. So I think it's very important, I think, for kids and adults alike to have the exposure to the arts. Yeah. And we do really have a strong dedication to the quality of instructors here. We've had people like Maggie Rose and Jesse Babin, Jason Collingwood. These are renowned artists who want to come and work with us and to work with the community here.
Yeah, I think that's amazing. So this event will have been supported by other people. Could you tell us who the sponsors for this event are?
We've been very generously supported by CHCO-TV, Picket Fence Motel, Wolfhead Smokers Limited, By the Sea Picture Framing, Groom Insurance, Remax St. Andrews, the Huntsman Marine Science Center, and Station on King.
So this event is going to be on Minister's Island, and tell us again what the time is and where we can buy tickets.
August 24th at the Van Horn Estate on Minister's Island from 6 to 9 p.m. And tickets are available online at makingwavesauction.com, or they can be purchased at the Sunbury Shores Arts and Nature Center.
Thank you, Claire, for being on the show today. I wish you every success with this event.
Thank you.
Both
Appreciate
for
it.
this auction and moving into the future. And I look forward to talking to you again.
Yes, me too. Thank you, Jay.
And thank you for watching the show today. I look forward to seeing you again on another episode of Fundy Tidings.